Hey everybody, it's me. Today I had the pleasure of interviewing Catherine Buckner. She is the owner of Busha's Custom Cookies. I had to practice that one a few times. She has a really cool story, a really cool new exciting adventure that she's going on, and she's just a really fun person to talk to. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks. Hey everybody, it's me, and I'm here with Catherine Buckner, and she is the owner of Busha's Custom Cookies. We had to practice that one. So, Catherine, can you just kind of tell us about? I mean, obviously you make cookies, but tell us a little bit about your business and what your thing is.
Okay, so I'm kind of transitioning on how I want to say what I make. I make luxury custom cookies, and I say luxury only because they're intricately designed cookies. I think when people hear custom cookies, I think sometimes they think they're simple drop cookies like a chocolate chip or,
Sure.
like a sugar cookie. And so I like to make sure people understand that they're detailed designed cookies is what I make.
Sure. Sure. So more of kind of a cross between a treat, but it's also kind of a decoration kind of in a way as well.
Right, right, correct.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, okay, Bushas. Explain
Yes.
what is Busha, who is Busha,
Okay.
and why is she custom making cookies?
Awesome. Yeah. So Busha is Polish for grandma. So Busha and Jaja, that's grandma and grandpa in Polish. And so my grandma, she used to bake everything. And, that's a lot of people's stories too. It's a nostalgic feeling of
Sure.
when they used to bake with their grandma. And she kind of taught me a lot about baking. And she had such like a strong passion. And her thing always was she wasn't selling her products, she was giving them away to make people feel good. Like baked
Yeah.
goods are there to make people feel good when they're having a bad day or there's something that's happened in their lives. She was always there with a pie, a cookie, whatever it may be. And so I saw this passion that she had, for baking. And when we started this business, I just kept coming back to that and coming back to that. And I was like, you know what, that only feels right to
Yeah.
just name Busha's Custom Cookies. So essentially it's grandma's custom cookies, but I'll take that role on. I can be
Okay.
grandma. So
Hey, that's cool. So, which came first, the name or the business?
the name, so to give a backstory on
Sure.
me, every job I've had since I was 16 has been in bakeries. I've worked from the very bottom, to the donut shops. I think my first donut shop job was here in town, Sweet Eugene's, when I was in
Oh,
college. And then I worked at Cake Junkie here in town after I graduated for like a semester. I worked there. And so I kind of started, like, really started here locally and then went on to Houston and worked at some cupcake shops in Houston, Crave Cupcakes, shout out, because they're
there
the
you
best
go.
cupcakes. And then I went to Ireland for a little bit and worked at one of the oldest running bakeries over there. And that was
Wow.
awesome because they did a lot of breads and a world that I hadn't really gotten into. I had just
Sure.
kind of hit the, cupcake cake, cake balls kind of world. And so when I went over there, it opened
Sure.
up a whole new door. And then from there, we went to St. Louis. We went to St. Louis, Missouri.
The company.
we,
The company.
yeah, now the company has grown so much that I have employees, so I say we all the time now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I worked in St. Louis and I was a pastry chef for a little bit, and then that was a whole new world because that's like creme brulee and croissants and all of the French kind of pastries. And so
Sure.
I knew I wanted to learn every aspect because I always knew that I wanted to open my own. So I
Sure.
wanted to start from the bottom where it's like washing dishes and making donuts, the
Yeah.
12 to 6, and get that. And then slowly, so then I got kind of to the top when I was in St. Louis. I was a general manager for a bakery called, let's see, I can remember this, the Sweet Divine. And so that's where I learned really how to run a bakery completely like it was my own. They would
Sure.
go on vacation and it was like, okay, just don't burn the place down. You've got it. Okay,
Yeah.
bye. And so
Yeah.
that was great too because it really taught me all the ins and outs, everything that goes into running a business fully.
Yeah.
So when I moved back to Texas, which was inevitable, Texas girl for sure,
Sure.
I came back and I moved back to Bryan College Station. I'm an Aggie, by the way, so I did go to school here, right? And moved back here, which I never thought I would. And then we started Busha's Custom Cookies in 2018. And it kind of started as just a hobby and I wanted to make some extra money. And so I had a full-time job and then it got so busy that I went down to a part-time job. And then it got so busy that I had to completely quit that job and start it full-time. And I would suggest that to everybody who wants to start a business. do it that transitional way. Don't try to put all of your eggs in the basket right in the beginning, because you need to just slowly work your way to that, because it takes time.
So what did that timeline look like from basically starting and it like as a side hustle kind of, how
Right.
long do you feel like it took you between that starting as a side hustle and then saying, you know what, I don't think I can do both of these things anymore? Because I think a lot of people want to like that look at starting a business, want to see kind of an idea of what that timeline looks like.
Right. For me, I've been very blessed. It happened pretty quick. I want to say it was maybe 8 months where I
Wow.
started, and then it just kind of blew up. And I had some great people along the way, like Bird's Nest in downtown Bryan. They let me host my classes. I teach cookie decorating classes as well. And
Yes.
so started there, and they're amazing. And they let me use their little lunch area, and it all started there. And then, they let me do pop-up shops. And so there's so many people around town that I'm so grateful for, especially them, because they gave me the chance to kind of get out there and be in a space and it not just be,
Sure.
oh, I'm in my home, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to hustle cookies. And they gave me kind of a platform and a space to do that.
Gotcha.
So,
So I hear that we have some exciting news about spaces. If you want to talk about that just a little bit.
okay, so it's happened. So the last 3 years I've been working my booty off, and we've finally done it. We have gotten a space, we've signed the lease, we've paid the deposit. So we officially have a storefront, which is, I like to use the word bonkers because I feel
Yeah.
like it's so fitting. It's bonkers. It's crazy. And I'm so happy, but it's like a overwhelming excitement. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much to do, but I'm so grateful, but there's so much to do.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in downtown Bryan. We're very excited. It's a couple streets back from Maine.
Okay.
And they just built these new lofts, and there's retail space underneath it. DeCaro is how they're pronouncing it. It's a CH, but it's DeCaro.
Gotcha.
So that's where we're going to be. It's a full build out. And so we've got a lot of work to do. We're hoping for February, but you never know with construction.
Yeah. The world's world's a little crazy right now.
2021 is what it will be. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited.
What made you decide? I mean, obviously everybody wants to have the storefront, but what made you decide that this was the time?
So, COVID happened. Let's talk about that. So, we all got hit with the COVID monster. And I think it was a blessing in disguise. I say that, and I don't mean to undercut the horrible things that happen to people and their jobs. And I know it hit a lot of people pretty hard. Me personally, when it all happened and started, I shut down for a month because everything was so unknown.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying, you may not know if you have it. And so in my head, I was like, I can't make cookies and send them out to people and possibly get them sick if I don't know if I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I stopped everything for a month. And you really go through like a mental, how do I figure this out? Like, what is next? Like, how can we transition? And I think something that makes businesses unique is their adaptability to situations. And it was all about how do we adapt and continue business once we get kind of the okay that we can do business again.
I've heard it referred to a lot as pivoting. How do we pivot from this?
Pivot, like in Friends. Yeah, pivot.
It makes you laugh.
Right. So it was, of course I went through my, real dramatic.
Of course.
Bushas is over. Like, that's it. That's the end. And once I had, my week or two of pity party, I finally was like, you know what? No, like we can't stop. I've come too far. And so, I saw all these companies, like restaurants and stuff were offering curbside or offering contactless pickup. And I was like, okay, we can still do orders. I'll wear a mask, I'll wear gloves, I'll make sure I'm washing my hands. Like, I'll make sure I'm doing everything on my end. And then I will just set them on a table outside, and then people can do contactless, and then we don't even have to worry about like an in-person.
Sure.
So we started back with like a month later, and I was like, you know what, it's time. Like, because I had been pushing off writing a business plan and doing all that stuff to get like a storefront started, because to me, I was like, that's too overwhelming. Like, another time. Yeah. But all I had was time on my hands. I knew I was closed. I knew that I wasn't making cookies. And I thought, okay, how can I be productive here? And yes, I may not be in business, but I know eventually I will have to do a business plan. So let's get on it. And so it just kind of like all of a sudden was like, okay, it's time to like hustle hard. And so I took this whole pandemic, like I said, I did have my week where
Sure. I think we all had those moments of, I mean, my job is people. Like I'm supposed to be in people's houses. I was like, what am I going to do?
Right. And my thing, you know, in these cookie decorating parties, so I already had, you know, 4 fully booked cookie decorating classes, you know, of 12 people each. I had to go in and refund all those people.
Yeah.
And then everybody started canceling all their orders for their weddings and their bachelorette parties and all of that. I had to refund all of those. And I was like, like this, there goes my bank account, right?
Yeah.
So it was very, very scary. But, you know, I'm a planner. I'm an extreme planner. And so I was prepared enough with what I had you know, set aside that I wasn't doomed, but I very quickly saw how my bank account was dwindling. And since I was closed, nothing was coming in, but so much was going out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh. But we transitioned. I hired an assistant. I believe it was the beginning of this year, January. And because things were just getting too busy, I couldn't do all the emails and do all the decorating and do all the classes. And so she, rock star, Jade Chapman, shout out to Jade Chapman. She got in there. We worked on that business plan. We got it figured out. We wrote down everything we would need to buy. We budgeted everything out. We figured out how many employees we'd have to hire. We figured out what we could afford. We went through it all, and it was so much work. But look where we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of people just kind of dive in and they don't take the time to do that. And I agree. I think I've heard a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of businesses have had to close. A lot of businesses just couldn't sustain.
Yeah.
We've seen some really cool adaptations from people. You were doing like decorate your own cookie kits, right?
So that was one of the things, you know, I had done that like last Christmas, you know, like little kits, but I pushed that hard in the middle of all of this because people were bored and they needed activities. Again, adapting. How can we still meet the people's needs but not be in contact, you know? And so it was a lot of different things. And I did this really silly, like little pill bottle that was like, I found the cure, you know, you know, just silly things to like push your cookies, but then make it funny and adapt to like what the situation and the scenario is around us. And so, you know, we started picking back up. I announced, okay, you know, we feel like we're following all the protocol. We feel like we've stocked up on cleaning supplies and masks and gloves, and we're ready. We feel comfortable. So we opened back up, and BCS blows my mind. Like the support and kindness and just how everybody just jumps on like helping out small businesses. This is the town to do small business. It really is. It's something about just word of mouth is it's free advertisement. You know, you show up, you create a good, consistent quality product, and people spread the word. And so I really have been very fortunate that I haven't had to pay for a lot of advertising because I just have such wonderful customers that go out there and do it for me. So stay consistent is key, you know?
So how many orders of cookies? Well, first off, how many people do you have baking now? Does it just you still?
Okay, so we've actually, we're slowly hiring a full team. So I have my assistant who does a lot of my website, you know, social media, emails, invoices, those kind of things. Then I hired a full-time employee. So she helps me decorate. So now I have essentially another decorator, but she is kind of another personal assistant. She kind of just does whatever I need. And then we hired a packager. So because I individually bag and heat seal every cookie because it guarantees freshness. If my cookies are left out for a couple days, they start to get hard. But if you heat seal them, they're good for like 2 to 3 weeks in these bags. So I always, and I won't even sell my cookies without individually heat sealing them just because you never know how long. And sometimes I have to make your order a couple days before your party just because of how much production we're doing. So we have 3 people. Wow. It's crazy when you sit down and think about these things. 3 people, packager, assistant, and decorator.
So how many orders, let's say dozen, because that's typically you deal in dozens. How many dozens of cookies do you think you make in an average week?
In an average, so we normally try not to take more than 15 orders a week. I have a minimum of 2 dozen, and so I'm not good with math.
That's a lot of cookies.
A lot of cookies.
That's about 15 orders. So that's
right.
cool.
So about 15 orders, that's lots of dozens.
Yeah,
And
lots of dozens.
Lots of dozens. And so, we've kind of found that we can't really do more than about 200 a day with dust. So break it down to do about 200 cookies a day. Here or there, we add a little bit more, but it starts to get more interesting as we get into the holiday season, which is my craziest time. October to December is chaos,
nuts,
because it's all of your holiday stuff, but then now you have all these pop-ups and events, like Merry Market, and Ronan has their farm day, and you want to be in all these events, but then it's also like, are people ready for events? I think they are, so, and it's hard because I make a perishable item. So say I make 20 dozen cookies to bring to this, it rains or it gets canceled. And now I have a product that I have to figure out how I'm going to sell it.
Yep.
But again, I have a wonderful customer base, and anytime that has happened, I just post it on my Facebook, and then people buy them, and it works out great. And so holiday season is where you're like, okay, it's no more sleeping, it's just naps. It's just naps.
I feel that for sure. Whenever you can, you get in some sleep.
Right.
So what's this? So obviously you're probably going to have, since you're going to have a storefront, you're going to have pre-made product that's not ordered. Like, what kind of stuff are you going to have in the storefront?
So we are still figuring out exactly what we want to do. Our mentality, because so if everybody doesn't know, I'm currently and still out of my home. This has been a home-based bakery. I follow what's called the cottage food law. And with that law, you have a lot of restrictions. So we can't ship and we can't do wholesale. And so those are two avenues we haven't hit. But as soon as we get into the storefront is when we can legally start to do those things. That being said, we're thinking what we want to do in the very beginning is get in there and get organized with all the stuff we already know how to do. Because we know custom cookies, right? So we're going to go in and we want to get everything organized for custom orders, for shipping, because that's a whole new avenue, for wholesale, because that's a whole new avenue, and then classes. So we're focusing on custom cookies, shipping, wholesale, classes. Now, in my display case, we'll have, pre-made boxes and like individual cookies that you can come in and buy, like happy birthday or congratulations. And then like any of like holiday time, we'll have an assortment of Halloween or Christmas and I'll always have some real funny cookies in there too that you can come pick up, like a blue ribbon that says, I washed my hair today, something just,
that's me.
Yeah. Or I did the laundry, or I didn't kill the kids, or, I have a lot of, I think I'm funny. And I'd like to share that with people. So I plan to do like a lot of really funny cookies, we want to transition into doing more products, of course. Baking, I have many, many years of baking background of so many different things. So of course, eventually we're going to expand into, some muffins and, some more. I've always wanted to do like homemade Pop-Tarts or, stuff
that
like
sounds
that.
really good.
So we have a million ideas, but we know we need to get in there and get organized with what we know first. And so we're thinking that first year, we'll just keep it custom cookies. And we'll do some like drop cookies, like your chocolate chip and your, sugar cookie and that kind of thing, so people can get just regular cookies as well. But we're going to stick to cookies, and then we'll expand in year two.
I think that's a really good plan, because you're changing your environment, so you have to get settled and comfortable in your environment before you really move forward in order to scale correctly, I guess.
Right. And that's the thing, is you're coming into a whole new world and a whole new space. And it's like, I've gotten used to working out of my home and this is what I know. But when you transition, it's a whole new ball game. And then you have to hire someone that's going to run the front at all times. You have to hire someone to help, because we're only going to double our production once we get into a storefront. So then you have to hire. And so it's like, we just need to get in there and do what we know, and then we'll expand.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wish you could tell yourself when you first got started? Like, you now, you then?
Breathe. I am a very anxious person, and I don't do well with unknown. And this whole year has been an unknown dumpster fire.
Bag of unknown.
Yeah. So I have to tell myself this every day. You have to look at it day at a time. Don't try to look too far out, just day at a time. Because when you start to, and my new employee that I just hired, she just wrote out every single day from today till Christmas and has everything we need to do. Like, and I was like, I'm gonna have to take Xanax. Like, I can't look at that. Please put that away. Like, that is too much.
Hide it.
Hide it. So, you know, my word to myself is just, and another thing I tell myself daily is celebrate the little victories. Yeah. Like, I'm really bad about celebrating, like, look how far you've come. Like, you started this as a hobby and now look, you're in a storefront. And I'm really bad at celebrating, like, good job, Catherine. Like, I don't know how to pat myself on the back.
I think we all struggle with that a little bit.
That's the thing. And you really have to take the time to celebrate, like, you know, like, we doubled what we did last year in Christmas this year. Like, let's go out for drinks. Like, that's awesome. You know, like, we really, and I'm bad to this day. But I really wish if I could talk to 2018 Catherine, it's like, enjoy this process. Like, this is the American dream. You find what your love and your passion is. And that is one thing I am so grateful for, is I know what my passion is and I know what I want to do. And I'm on the track of doing what I do. And I think a lot of people struggle finding what their niche is. And I'm so blessed that I have found, I mean, I'm tattooing things on my body. Like, it's permanent.
It's a serious thing. Like, you really like
this. It's very serious. So, you know, I'm just so excited. I can't believe that I'm to the point that I'm at. I'm so excited to be in downtown Bryan. Downtown Bryan is up and coming. It is the cool spot to be. Like, I want to be a part of making downtown Bryan amazing. And there's so many cool things coming in that I'm just so excited to, like, see where this all goes.
I've been here since 2006 and watching what downtown Bryan,
oh my gosh.
I mean, it's always been real cool to me because I'm from a town that's an older town like that. That watching what it has started out as to what it's become, it's so crazy because there never really was a good place to just go be, you know, I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
Other than Northgate. And I mean, you reach a point at which that's not really,
you know, and that was my hardest transition, going from being in college here to then coming back as an adult. And you're like, where do the adults hang out? Like, and that's
downtown Bryan.
That's where the adults go. And so Northgate, you know, you college kids, you stay over there.
Yeah,
and
we'll
then
go to Bryan.
We're going to go to downtown Bryan and we're going to make that a cool spot. And I love downtown Bryan. So I am just over the moon about it. I'm so excited.
That's awesome. Well, I you know, we're, Catherine and I are in a entrepreneurs group sort of together, and I just kind of lurk there, which is kind of creepy, but I watched a lot of these small business owners and makers and crafts people, like, during COVID, you know, to watch the transition, to see you guys going from what are we going to do to, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm just really impressed. And you just, even though you said you took that break, it wasn't visible. Like, you just kept going and kept pushing. And you thought to yourself, I mean, to me, it seemed like you thought to yourself, how can I serve people with what I have available? And you did that, and you did it excellently, obviously. But I'm so excited that you were able to take some time to chat with me today. And is there anything else that you want to share about your business? We're going to post all of the links and things like that, but is there anything else you want to tell people?
Absolutely. So I ask that people be patient with this process because it's overwhelming. And like I said, it's a full build out. And so I just ask people with this transition, like, please give us a little grace while we figure this out, because it's a lot to manage. It's not only continuing production, but then building out a space and then transitioning into that space. So I ask people, like, please just give me, like, a little bit of grace when it comes to, you know, this process, because we're trying to get in there and get moving. But, you know, get excited, everybody, because what I've been having to do for classes is I'm finding different spots around town, which I love. You know, I've been doing them at Urban Table, which Urban Table is beautiful and the owners are amazing. And I like getting to support other businesses with my business, and we kind of cross promote. I think that's what a lot of people should do. But I'm just so excited that I'm going to have a space for classes. I'm going to have like, everything is going to be
in one
mine. In one spot is going to be mine, and I won't have to, you know, work with. But another thing I do want to tell people, we plan on having a whole section of the store be local, like entrepreneurs, like section. So I have a friend, you know, Erin, you interviewed her. We're going to have like her bath bombs in there, and then like What's Good ice cream. I would love to have their product. And we want to do like highlights, you know, every week. Oh, now we're carrying so-and-so's product, like come in and check it out, because through this WeBCS, this women entrepreneur group that I'm in, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for this group specifically. The people I've met, the perspectives they've given me, the advice they've given me is why I am here today. Everybody needs to find their gang, their girl gang, doesn't have to be all girls, whatever gang you want it to be.
Your people.
But your people, because you can't do this alone. You cannot do it alone, and you need those people to fall back on. And this group is where it's at. And they all have just been excellent. So I want to give my thanks back by being able to provide their product in my space, because they helped me get where I am. So get ready for that too, because I plan to like try to get and incorporate as many local businesses into my shop as well, because without them, I wouldn't be where I am. So
I think it's really important that we're all at different stages, right? We all have different businesses, but we all have to kind of, it's the idea of pulling people up with you. And you've had some success, and now it's like, how can I help other people? And I think I think if business owners can kind of keep that mentality, especially in a local small market, we're all going to be more successful because we all fit in a specific spot, I guess.
So and really you know, we all know, like, support local. Can you hear me in the back? Support local. Like, let's just focus on our little, it's not even that little of a city, but like, let's hone in on like the amazing stuff we have here in this town, and get away from ordering from these huge companies. And let's, like, every time you buy from someone like local that started that's their phone bill, that's their, you know what I mean, their car payment, like, support local, y'all.
That's awesome. One final question, and then I will let you go. If someone wants to order cookies from you for an event or something, how much time do you need in advance? Like, what is too short? What's too long?
That's a great question, because I run into this question a lot. So I normally tell people I need at least 2 weeks notice, but during the holiday time, it's a totally different ballgame. Right now, we are booked completely through October. And so the more time you can give me, I know, right? The more time you can give me, the better always. I know people, you know, stuff comes up, and I know you can't always, and always ask, because I do have cancellations, you know, all throughout the week. And so please always ask. But normally I'm going to start saying at least 3 weeks notice for orders. And to order, you would just go to my website, you click on the order tab, you click on custom order form, and then that's where you would put it in.
Wonderful.
But yes, please try to give 3 weeks to a month if possible. But once we transition y'all into the storefront, we're going to hire more people, and we're going to be able to cut that down. So like I said, grace and patience, please.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to me. I'm really excited to see the storefront, and I'm excited to see what you do coming forward. So like I said, all the links and things will be posted for the video. So thanks, guys. We'll see you later.